Tae, a 17-year-old high school student, tries to hand-feed Kotaro, a 23-year-old company employee. He feels disgusted and nervous about it. Shaken, he searches for an excuse to avoid eating the food from her hand, exclaiming, "Well, would you look at the time?" Tae reassures Kotaro that there's no need to be embarrassed since they are alone in the room. Kotaro, needing a break, thinks to himself that he is not good with this kind of stuff but convinces himself it's fine since no one can see them. As he's about to leave, Tae approaches him, fixes his crooked necktie, and hands him a towel and some tissues. Still anxious, Kotaro tells her that it's okay, and that she's done enough. As he walks out the door, Tae waves goodbye, wishing him a nice day and to stay safe. Kotaro, now walking away, reflects on how they appear to be a happy couple at first glance. However, dreadfully, there is a secret he cannot reveal to anyone. Suddenly, Kotaro hears creepy footsteps around him, and a voice ominously declares, "I found you." A Koga clan member sneaks up behind Kotaro, revealing that he knows Kotaro's true identity as a member of the Iga clan. The Koga member taunts Kotaro, saying he cannot hide forever, and a tight rope-like material wraps around Kotaro's neck. A voice commands, "Die!" as blood splashes from a sudden slash. Tai, worried, calls out for Kotaro as the Koga's head is chopped off. Tai apologizes, saying she hasn't finished the outdoor cleaning, now splattered with blood. She asks Kotaro if he is injured. He reassures her that he is fine, because she saved him, and thanks her. Tai, now blushing, turns around and says that for Kotaro she would even go through fire and water. Kotaro, surprised, can only manage a stunned "but" in response. With the headless body lying on the floor, Tai asks Kotaro if that shinobi was from his hometown. Noting the strangeness of an Iga shinobi and a Koga Kunoichi being together, Tai declares that anyone wanting to attack Kotaro is an enemy, which Kotaro finds cold given their situation of living under the same roof. Kotaro, speaking to an Iga clan member, reports that he has investigated the Koga who launched the surprise attack, revealing they belong to the Mochizuki faction. He assures the clan member, named Momochi, that he will continue to monitor their movements closely. Momochi acknowledges Kotaro's adaptation to life outside the village and his information-gathering skills. He instructs Kotaro to continue gathering intel, especially about the elusive Koga Viper. Kotaro, sweating profusely, secretly thinks about Tai being the true Koga Viper. Walking away from the conversation, Kotaro reflects on how the Iga and Koga have a deeply rooted grudge. He worries about the trouble they would face if anyone found out he and Tae were living together. As he re-enters the house, he resolves to keep Tae's identity as the Koga Viper a secret. Tae, smiling, welcomes him home, and Kotaro notices her happiness. She excitedly mentions a festival in her hometown and shows him a poster for the Koga Ninja Festival. Kotaro, concerned, warns that attending could turn into a bloodbath if they are discovered. Tae, pouting, tells him not to be so mad and admits that their relationship is one that no one approves of. Flushing at the thought, she compares their situation to Romeo and Juliet, emphasizing the importance of keeping their secret. She reassures him, saying it's all right because no one would ever suspect a person from the Iga clan and a person from the Koga clan would be living together. Kotaro muses to himself about how carefree she is. Tai, now rubbing his back, tells him he worries too much. He protests, saying of course he does, because if they were found out, they would spend the rest of their lives on the run. Suddenly she responds that if she's with Kotaro, she will always be happy. Kotaro, now flustered, says it's not the time for that kind of talk, but she insists that this is exactly the time for it. Kotaro begins to think she might be right and that whatever happens, as long as they are together, it will be fine. With a terrifying expression, she says that if any nuisances do appear, it will be fine if she just massacres every single one of them, while holding Kotaro tightly. Her expression even scares the pets along with Kotaro. With an instant change of demeanor, she rolls around and suggests they start preparing dinner. Cutting to a scene half a year earlier, Kotaro and other Iga clan members are in a forest. Suddenly one of the members is cut in the neck from an attack, leaving Kotaro wondering what happened to his comrade. Seeing the rest of his comrades fallen, Kotaro expected this much. A girl's voice remarks that the expert of the Iga clan did this much and starts laughing. She steps closer, revealing herself as the Koga Viper, and says, now the two of them can have fun to their heart's content, wearing a scary expression. Kotaro, now shaking in fear, thinks about how he somehow made it back alive while Momochi stands nearby. Momochi tells Kotaro that it looks like the invasion operation has failed again. Kotaro apologizes, blaming the Viper's violent interference. Momochi cuts him off, saying his excuses are worthless, and orders him to fall back from the front lines. Surprised, Kotaro listens as Momochi explains it's an order from the Elder. Kotaro walks back to his home thinking about his new mission to go down to a human city after being cut from the front line. He wonders if he'll get used to the menial tasks ahead. Stopping at his front door, he senses a presence inside and wonders if it could be an enemy. He pulls out a dagger-like weapon and kicks the door open. The Koga Viper appears, holding a dust cleaner, and welcomes Kotaro home. Kotaro is very scared to see the viper, but she says she was just about to finish cleaning. She tells Kotaro his clothes were scattered all over the place and that it's bad to leave them everywhere. Still surprised, Kotaro asks why she is in his home and what her goal is. The Koga viper responds that it's to meet Kotaro, of course, and says he knows this. Kotaro, shivering in fear, thinks about how she came to his house to clean his life. She continues, talking about how until she met Kotaro, her life had only been about swinging the blade on the battlefield. Everyone who heard the name Viper kept their distance, leaving her in lonely solitude every day. She says Kotaro was different because no matter how many times she knocked him down, he would get back up without submitting or hesitating, as if his soul and passion were burning with love. During their daily sword fights, she realized she had fallen for him. Kotaro, confused, asks how that happened. Tai responds that Kotaro was the one to rescue her from that sea of solitude, and that is what genuine love is. Kotaro thinks about how crazy she sounds this whole time. Tai concludes by saying that from now on she wants to serve Kotaro not as a shinobi but simply as a woman. As part of her preparation for this day, she had acquired extensive training in the art of housekeeping. Kneeling before Kotaro, she implores him to please allow her to stay in his home. Kotaro wonders if she received bridal training, quickly saying no, and asking her to wait. He reminds her that he is an IGA ninja and she is a Koga ninja, questioning if she is trying to abandon her clan. Suddenly, two animals barge in, and she declares it was her intention because Kotaro is the light that shines in her life. If he questions her resolve, she threatens to build a mountain out of the heads of Koga shinobi, giving him a menacing look. Kotaro questions if she plans to exterminate her clan, and she dismisses it as a trivial thing in the face of their love, proposing they make a love mess together. He looks into her eyes, realizing she is very serious. He tells her to calm down, suggesting she must be confused. She wonders if Kotaro is rejecting her because he hates her. Inching closer, Kotaro gets nervous as they accidentally bump into each other. He thinks to himself that he needs to calm down, and that he can't possibly give in to the seductions of a Koga shinobi, especially when the opponent is the Koga viper. Looking down at her sparkling puppy eyes, he suddenly feels his heart pounding faster and notices her cuteness. At this rate, he will succumb to the seduction. Suddenly, Kotaro feels an intense shock and falls on his back, realizing something is wrong with his body. Tai apologizes, explaining that she thought if she didn't do this, she wouldn't have been able to comfortably talk to him. He notices he has been secretly poisoned by her. She says that while he still has consciousness, she will have him respond to her proposal. She asks if he will live happily together with her, or commit double suicide, and pledge his love to her in the next world, giving him a threatening look. Bashfully, she says it was like a once-in-a-lifetime confession. Kotaro points out that the way she phrased it made it sound like a threat. Kotaro reflects on when they first started living together and how tiring his desk work is. Walking into his home, he smells something strange and notices Tai, who says she will get dinner ready. He admits he is concerned but mentions it has been a while since he's had a home-cooked meal. Suddenly, crackling sounds erupt as the furnace explodes, and she tells Kotaro dinner is ready. He asks her what the food is, questioning if it's an earthen pit in this day and age. She proudly says she made it this afternoon, smiling, and recreated the village kitchen to show how it char-boils perfectly. Noticing all the smoke, he tells her she's going to set off the fire alarm, and reminds her that this is a rental unit and they can't be doing that. She responds that he lacks a kitchen, questioning how she is supposed to boil things. He points out the gas stove, and she slowly repeats, stove, not knowing what it is. Kotaro walks up to the stove, turning the switch on, causing a fire to start. Tai, shaken, asks if he's a time traveler from the past, wondering what on earth that stone is and where the coals are, thinking he uses a kind of ninjutsu. He coldly tells her that she can't be real. The scene cuts to Tai calling the fridge a burrow that is so cold and looking at a laundry machine, questioning if she doesn't have to go down to the river anymore. Kotaro shows her a rice cooker, and as it opens, it scares her, thinking it opened its mouth. She marvels at how quickly civilization progresses while learning what a microwave is, and Kotaro tells her she really doesn't know anything. Tai explains that her father was very strict, and she never left the village until now, so she doesn't know anything about the outside world. Kotaro muses to himself about how the Koga's suppression of information is impressive, but to think it was to this extent is insane. Tai confides in him that she came here to support him, and now worries she is just bothering him. She cries, declaring she can only hope to atone with her life, pulling out a blade. Kotaro quickly tells her that this is too much and she doesn't need to do that. He reassures her that it's fine, and suggests they eat before the food gets cold. With a gloomy expression, she admits she doesn't know if the food will please him, and if it doesn't, she will let a wild beast devour her. Kotaro wonders why the mighty viper would be so faint at heart. She sighs, admitting she feels truly unworthy, and questioning the point of all her bridal training. They all start eating, including their pets, and Kotaro tells her the food is delicious, especially since he has been eating nothing but convenience store food recently, noting there's definitely something special about food cooked in an earthen pot. Tai is touched by his words, but Kotaro reminds her that there are no fire pits in the house, and she doesn't have to be perfect from the start. She should just do whatever makes her happy. He adds that she isn't herself when she's being meek. Tai is surprised by Kotaro's kind words and vows to do her best to become a wife worthy of him. Kotaro quietly advises her to take everything in moderation and to ask him before doing anything from now on, as sharing information and having no secrets is paramount. She responds that she understands. He suggests they start eating, mentioning he is also proud of his miso soup. Tai tells Kotaro to try her dish too, and Kotaro thinks to himself that this is much better than her being depressed. He looks around, frightened by the sight of weapons, pelts, and some animal bones. He asks if she brought the meat from the supermarket, and she questions what a supermarket is. Tai urges Kotaro to go outside. He questions her, saying why go outside when there's a chance people might see them. She begs him, saying she's been cooped up in the house the whole time, insisting they should go outside. He worries about getting caught, but as he turns to look at her, she says she's losing control over her urges with a deathly expression, and he begs her to chill. Now outside, they jump on the rooftops of other houses as she hops into the sky. While jumping, Tai tells Kotaro to look at all the lights, but Kotaro is only worried about her jumping too high. Kotaro thinks to himself that a late-night stroll away from prying eyes should be fine. He considers how everything must be new to her, now that she's escaped the village she was born and raised in, and that she should have the chance to spread her wings a little. He looks back and realizes she is gone from the rooftop, finally spotting her hanging and waving at a child from a window. He grabs her away, asking what she is doing, and what if someone sees. She tells him that they look like a happy family, and that someday, that will be them. While traveling, she tells Kotaro that this was so much fun, while he realizes he's out of breath and questions if strolls were always this exhausting. He tells her she must be satisfied now, and they should start heading back. Smiling, she asks if she can request one final thing. While walking, Kotaro is surprised to find she wanted to go night viewing. She tells him she heard that the cherry blossoms are lit up at this time. Kotaro asks if they had these in Koga, and she says her father planted one when she was born, and part of her daily training was jumping over it. Kotaro marvels at how they truly were ninjas capable of such feats. Tai reveals she had always dreamed of seeing the cherry blossoms with someone she loves, and today one of her dreams has come true. Nervously, Kotaro responds with a, "Right," and realizes his heart actually skipped a beat, thinking cherry blossoms are frighteningly potent. He glances to his right and notices she's gone. Suddenly, she leaps over the cherry blossom, surprising Kotaro. He asks what she's doing, and she admits it was just a force of habit. Kotaro overhears drunk people behind him talking about seeing Tai flying through the air, scaring him that they might have been discovered. He insists they should get out of there. Tai agrees, leaving a cloud of dust from how fast they are. The two drunk people, now realizing no one is there, blame it on their drunken state. She looks down and realizes they are holding hands. Instantly, Kotaro apologizes, saying it was in the heat of the moment when he grabbed her hand. She tells him it's fine if they hold hands. Now holding hands under the cherry blossoms, both are very nervous, their hearts thumping loudly. Kotaro thinks to himself that this bliss is surprising from their first outing together. Tai reflects on how she's surprised they ended up holding hands and can feel Kotaro's body heat, her emotions running wild at this rate. Suddenly, Kotaro gets frightened and tells Tai that her claws are coming out. She apologizes, explaining that when she gets excited, her claws just come out on their own. He responds, bewildered, asking what kind of gimmick that is. Tai curiously asks about the disc-like object, and Kotaro responds that it's a CD. Finding it intriguing, Tai wonders if it's a new shuriken. Kotaro contemplates how he acquired it through secretive means, and reveals it contains classified information about the Koga village. Kotaro inserts the CD into his laptop, eagerly telling Tai that he's been anticipating their reaction to his departure from the village. The screen displays a formation of Koga clan members. Tai immediately recognizes the Koga mansion, and Kotaro mentions that a meeting took place there a few days ago. Tai spots Mochi and Old Man Ban in the meeting, reminiscing about the past. Kotaro notes that the audio is faint and decides to increase the volume, allowing them to finally hear the meeting discussing the Viper's whereabouts. One member reports they have searched the mansion, mission areas, and beyond without finding any solid leads, and suggests she might have been taken down by the IGA clan. Kotaro informs Tai that they are looking for her, as she is the Viper. One member believes she has escaped, while another laments that no one can catch her now, saying it will be difficult to pursue her. Tai remarks that the tone sounds close to giving up and reassures Kotaro that everything is fine for now. The meeting continues with members questioning what to do about the chief, surprising Kotaro. An intimidating image of the Koga village chief, Yamanaka Kiwamon, appears. He's known as the deadliest shinobi. Tai notes that he commands his subordinates as if they are his personal possessions. Yamanaka Kiyoemon, tearfully, calls the Viper his dear unwed granddaughter and demands an expanded search to find her, claiming she belongs to him. Kotaro shudders, identifying the man as Yamanaka Kiyoemon. Tai, too, acknowledges that he is not to be trifled with. Yamanaka Kiyoemon sobs, with his subordinates begging him to regain composure. Tai, surprised by her grandfather's behavior, calls him immature. Kotaro is taken aback when Tai refers to him as Grandpa. Tai questions herself, and then asks Kotaro if she hasn't told him that her name is Yamanaka Tai, the granddaughter of the Koga clan leader. Waking up in the morning, Kotaro feels groggy and complains about early morning activities being tough. The pets offer to feed him, holding up a sign for breakfast. Kotaro muses that the Koga clan has been particularly active lately and realizes he'll need to be cautious this afternoon. While brushing his teeth, he notices that Viper isn't up yet, which is unusual, and wonders if she's still asleep. Tai is outside, cleaning up trash and scaring away crows, startling Kotaro. He asks what she is doing, and Tai explains that the neighbors were complaining about the crows, assuring him there's no need to worry. Kotaro then asks what she'll do if people become suspicious of her, to which she replies that they should help those in need. Meanwhile, the pets, still holding the breakfast sign, look exhausted. At the department store, Kotaro is welcomed as he searches for items to buy. The workers introduce new products like crow sables and scorched ancient battlefield raw caramels. Kotaro hands over one of the items and the worker inspects it, thinking it looks familiar. Kotaro asserts that his company's creations are all original and that he has absolute confidence in them. He also wanted to showcase their dark shinobis, to which the worker remarks that those are definitely knockoffs. Kotaro returns to his job, where a co-worker immediately asks how things went. Kotaro responds that it didn't go well because his charm didn't work. Suddenly, another voice calls out for Momochi, revealing itself to be Komori, another co-worker, accusing him of slacking off again. Kotaro tells him to keep up the good work, mentioning that he took on 3 new projects in the morning, while Komori insists he needs to get serious. He informs Kotaro about an afternoon meeting, asking if he's prepared, and Kotaro admits he completely forgot. Komori, unsurprised, devises a plan, which gets Kotaro excited. Kotaro points out that this job is just a side gig for him and that he'll take every shortcut he can. Suddenly, Komori screams that he's missing his meeting materials, sending Kotaro into a panic. Komori swears he had them in his briefcase and wonders if he lost them while out on business. Kotaro, trying to calm him, asks if he has a backup in the office. Komori says he does, but he revised them at home yesterday, so all he has is the old version. He wonders what to do. Komori suggests calling the police, hoping someone turned them in, but then realizes he doesn't remember the police number and asks Kotaro for help. Kotaro looks for the number but then leaves a note saying he's out to lunch. Out to lunch, Kotaro feels bad for Komori but prioritizes taking it easy, thinking he has no obligation to help. Suddenly, Tae pops into his thoughts, reminding him they should help those in need. After some pondering, he decides to rush back to help Komori. Kotaro thinks he can probably mobilize about 100 to 200 soldiers. Whistling, he summons a flock of crows and rats, scaring his co-workers and making them drop their food. Kotaro instructs his soldiers, mentioning it's been a while since they went hunting. Suddenly, a hawk appears in the sky. People in the meeting notice the hawk as Komori is called up next to present. Komori panics, not having found his updated materials in time, and starts his presentation with what he has. Upper management notes that his presentation is quite different from last time and much more polished. Meanwhile, Kotaro's rat soldiers swap out the old presentation with the updated one. Outside, his soldiers salute Kotaro, who praises them for a job well done, noting they caused quite a stir. He tells his hawk that he can't really scold Viper anymore. Walking back inside, his co-workers mention a recent outbreak of mice in the building, calling it gross. Kotaro overhears this and starts sweating, knowing he's guilty. Kotaro looks for Viper in the morning and finally finds her by the window, exclaiming that he's finally found her. She turns around with a scary look, questioning what he's doing while fixing her weapons. Kotaro asks if she's in a bad mood, and she starts swinging her weapons, lying that she's not, and tells him to hurry up and say what he needs. He tells her he was just wondering where his wallet had gone, and she tosses a weapon along with his wallet next to him, nearly killing him. Terrified, he thanks her as she mutters while walking out the door. Left alone, Kotaro thinks about how she's definitely mad about something. He wonders if it was something he did and resolves to be even more cautious around her than when he's on a mission. Kotaro admits that it's his first time being with someone and worries that he might have inadvertently set her off. He recalls a time when he tried to help her with the house chores, which made her very angry, saying he shouldn't take away her reason to live. He speculates that maybe she doesn't like him coming home late from his shinobi work, but then dismisses the idea, thinking she would happily join him if he asked. He remains puzzled about why she was so upset. Kotaro seeks out Sasuke, one of his ninja comrades, and asks if Sasuke knows anything. Sasuke nods, prompting Kotaro to ask what he knows. Sasuke remarks that understanding a woman's heart is beyond him. Kotaro, confused, asks what that's supposed to mean. Sasuke explains that although she might be a fearsome kunoichi, she's still a girl and needs to be treated gently, or he might end up hurting her. He adds that giving this advice to someone with almost no experience with girls feels futile. Kotaro starts getting annoyed with Sasuke, and a child passing by notices Kotaro's strange behavior, wondering what he's doing. Kotaro reflects on how much he might have been aggravating the Viper. Sasuke points out exactly what Kotaro has been doing wrong, making Kotaro question if that's really the issue. As Kotaro enters the house, he sees Tai muttering to herself with a deadly expression. Kotaro calls out her name, and she looks back, asking what he just said. Kotaro mentions that he bought some pudding and asks if she would like some. Tai aggressively hugs Kotaro, frightening him because she's holding a sword. She blushes and notes that it's the first time he's called her Tai. Kotaro explains that calling her Viper was just a force of habit and apologizes. She thinks aloud that if it had been a few more days, she would have exploded, giving Kotaro a very intimidating look. Kotaro silently thanks himself for the close call. Kotaro offers Tai some pudding, and she remarks that the sweetness is splendid, and that Kotaro's devotion flavors it. Kotaro insists that all he did was buy it. He notices her mood improving and compliments her cooking, suggesting she try making sweets sometime. Tai's claws start to show, and she gives him a menacing look, prompting Kotaro to nervously suggest they could cook together if she likes. Tai asks Kotaro to repeat what he said, and Kotaro, scared, reiterates that her cooking is excellent. The mice listening to the conversation notice that their master, Kotaro, is finally doing a good job. Kotaro walks to the breakfast table and sees a tiny fish and barely any rice, questioning if this is really for breakfast. He complains to Tai that this food won't sustain him through a whole day of work, and that he needs something more substantial. Suddenly, Tai angrily grabs his collar and starts ripping his shirt apart due to his complaints. Now shirtless, Kotaro and Tai look at his pudgy body. She asks if he has anything to say about his stomach. Tai tells him that all the oily junk food and beer since he left the village have left him with a body unfit for a shinobi. Kotaro complains that he doesn't know what to do about it, given all the company outings he has to attend. His pet soldiers note that a pudgy Kotaro would still be precious, but acknowledge it would hinder his shinobi work, all while eating their own food. Tai, blushing, says he's not the only one to blame for his weight, noting that the biggest reason is their happy married lifestyle. She admits that all the affection she puts into her cooking has fattened him up, saying it's only natural. She tells him not to worry, promising to do everything she can to help him regain his brilliant body, while picturing Kotaro as a bodybuilder. He protests, saying he never looked like that. At work, Kotaro is relieved that it's finally lunchtime. Komori notices his box of food, and teasingly asks if a loving woman made it for him. Kotaro corrects him, pointing out that it's not what he thinks. He remembers Tai's declaration that she will be responsible for all 3 meals every day, making Kotaro feel his future looks bleak. Opening the box, he sees a simple nutrient ball ration, prompting Komori to comment on its simplicity. Kotaro dashes out of the workplace, convinced that such little food won't sustain him, heading to a convenience store. Suddenly, a dagger flies past his leg, nearly injuring him. A voice calls from behind, saying she knows it's tough, but it's for his own good. Still unable to locate her, Kotaro looks around frantically. Continuing to talk, Tai warns that if he eats anything other than what she provides, she will take it back out of his body herself, brandishing her claws. Kotaro thinks she's terrifying. As time passes, Kotaro grows hungrier. He rummages through the fridge, thinking he might die if he continues with her plan and needs to find something to eat. Desperate, he even considers Sasuke's food. His ninja mouse sees him rummaging and tells him to back off. Suddenly, Kotaro finds a stack of papers and wonders what they are about. He realizes they are diet recipes, including lean chicken breast and tofu burgers, all low-sodium and healthy meals that Tai has tailored to his taste so they can eat healthily into old age. Kotaro is surprised by the effort she put into this. Out of nowhere, Tai sneaks up on Kotaro, welcoming him home. He jumps back, startled, and asks if she just came back. Tai ignores the question, saying she'll start dinner right away. Kotaro notices her clothes are appropriate for cooking and asks where she has been. She responds that she went to a nearby mountain. He wonders why she would go there as she excitedly begins cooking. She surprises him with wild plants, and Kotaro asks if those plants are what he thinks they are. Tai explains that they are low in calories and taste great, reminiscing about eating them in Koga. She tells him that even though he's struggling, she still wants him to enjoy eating carrying a heavy basket. Kotaro sighs and agrees, saying all right. Tai is thrilled, believing his spirit is great because it will make training easier. 1 month later, Kotaro weighs himself at 141 lbs, 64 kilos. He has lost 10 kilos and his BMI is now where it should be, though he trembles from the diet's rigor. Tai congratulates him, noting his significant weight loss and that he has finally reached his goal. While Kotaro admits it was harder than he imagined with too many temptations, Tai responds that it's truly wonderful. She mentions that if he hadn't made progress, they would have moved on to the living on air plan, which Kotaro dismisses as suitable for hermits. Tai declares that today marks the end of his diet, and that they should celebrate by filling their bellies tonight. Kotaro reflects on the rough journey, feeling grateful for Tai's effort. Suddenly a lot of noise is heard, and Tai announces that it's time for the next phase. She puts a chain around Kotaro's neck, shocking him. He asks what's happening. She explains that it's a special Koga-made reinforced harness, one she also wore when she was younger. Kotaro, bewildered, asks what she's planning. Tai reveals that it's part 2 of getting his brilliant body back, building strength with aerobic exercise, starting with some light mountain climbing, all while emanating a very intimidating aura. After returning home, battered from mountain climbing, Tai observes that diet and exercise work best together. Kotaro, covered in healing patches, grumbles that she should have researched that earlier. Flashing back to years ago, Kotaro struggles for his life as his father chokes him against the wall. His father, filled with rage, accuses Kotaro of being at fault and wishes he didn't exist, choking him into unconsciousness. Snapping awake from the nightmare, Kotaro can only think about the horrible awakening. He realizes he can't breathe and finds Tai choking him too. Panicking, Kotaro demands to know what she's doing, and she apologizes for waking him. Kotaro realizes that whether he's awake or asleep, he's on the verge of death and laments that he can't relax even on his day off. Tai insists he should relax and enjoy the day, mentioning the weather will worsen in the afternoon. She suggests they play something like Hanafuda, Karuta, or maybe Sugoroku. Checking his phone, Kotaro exclaims in frustration, prompting Tai to ask what's wrong. He responds, "Work." Now in a ninja outfit, Kotaro sneaks into a building, bypassing security. He takes a call after escaping, reporting the mission complete and that he recovered all the data. The person on the other end praises him and instructs him to stand by for further instructions, emphasizing that everything is for the village. Hanging up, Kotaro walks home in the rain, reflecting if everything truly is for the village. He recalls how the village took him in after his mother's death and his father's descent into alcoholism, and now he works as a shinobi to repay them because that means everything to him. Suddenly, an umbrella appears over him, shielding him from the rain. Tai stands before him, calling his name and saying she came to get him. Secretly relieved, Kotaro asks why she's there. She explains that he didn't take an umbrella and that she tracked his mission location through his system. Nervously, he acknowledges her stalker-like behavior. Noticing her fidgeting and blushing, he asks what's wrong. Tai, blushing, suggests that maybe they could share an umbrella, only if he wants to. Surprised, Kotaro asks for clarification, thinking she meant sharing an umbrella. She admits she heard about it from a TV drama and doesn't want to force him. He pulls her under the umbrella, saying they should get home before the rain worsens. Nervous but happy, she agrees, sticking close to him. As they walk home, she remarks, "It's a dream come true," while Kotaro warns her about a puddle ahead. Grateful for his warning, she shares that she always yearned for a family to pick her up and walk home together on a rainy day. Back at home, Tai surprises Kotaro with a present, celebrating their 100 days of living together. She reveals she has been knitting it, little by little. Kotaro, touched, says it's the first time anyone has given him a present like this. As he takes it, he notices it's super heavy. After finally putting on the chain-filled clothes, he feels very uncomfortable. Tai beams, telling him he looks great in it. Kotaro, puzzled, remarks that if she was going to knit, couldn't she have made something like a sweater? Tai insists that such frail equipment would offer no protection, assuring him that his new clothes will keep him safe no matter the carnage. Grateful, Kotaro promises to get something for her next time. She responds that there is no need and that she is overjoyed just by being with him. As dinner time approaches, Tai announces it's time to start cooking. Kotaro, lost in thought, muses that the day will come when he must choose between the village and Tai. Now lounging on the couch contemplating the future, Tai observes that it must be hard to move in his current outfit and suggests he change. Kotaro, feeling lazy, declines, saying he thinks he'll stay like this for a while longer. Outside the house, Tai is seen laughing while walking in the neighborhood. Upon arriving home, she immediately begins preparing her weapons. Kotaro notices this and reflects on how performing maintenance on her gear first thing in the morning is quite dangerous. Approaching her, Kotaro wonders if something specific caught her attention. Tai explains that she was merely thinking about how the people there are so carefree, even though they leave themselves defenseless enough to be killed at any moment. Kotaro comments that her line of thought is also dangerous. She replies that their carefreeness has nothing to do with her, and she should return to cleaning. Kotaro gazes out from his porch, thinking about how frightening she is. A few days later, Tai is seen making food. Kotaro notices that she has made rice bran pickles, and mentions that she prepared them properly from salted rice bran, keeping them under the floor. She asked him to let her know if he'd like some while heading to the revolving floor. Kotaro is surprised and reminds her that he told her not to make any modifications. Tai expresses her desire to try making other foods next, while Kotaro appears to have something serious to say. He asks if she has a minute. Now in a high school uniform, Tai notices that it fits her perfectly. Kotaro acknowledges this, saying that they made it perfect. He informs her that it is Santu High School's uniform, explaining that Santu means 3 swords. Tai, with a blush, jokingly tells Kotaro that she didn't know he wanted her to serve him in this, catching him off guard. Kotaro explains that he pulled some strings behind the scenes so she could enroll there. Tai is surprised, not understanding his intentions. Kotaro elaborates that since she is 17, she needs to go to school to live a normal life. He acknowledges that staying hidden might be safer, but wants her to experience many things. He believes that since she managed to escape her village, she should have the chance to live as something other than a shinobi. Kotaro admits he is being a bit selfish and assures her that he won't force her to go to school if she doesn't want to. Tae questions herself, pondering the idea of going to school. She reflects on all the fun activities she missed out on while training and begins to smile at the new opportunity. She thanks Kotaro for thinking of her, and vows not to waste this chance, aiming to gain knowledge and culture. With her fist raised, she declares that she will mow down all the students and become the queen of the campus. Kotaro, worried about the future, insists that she won't be mowing anyone down. Tai questions why she shouldn't knock them down one by one, and Kotaro explains that this isn't that kind of era. Finally, Tai's first day of school arrives. Kotaro is very cautious, offering her many tips for school. She reassures him not to worry and promises not to cause any trouble, ensuring she will keep their secrets safe. As the gates to the school start closing and the morning assembly begins, Tae dashes inside to ensure she is on time. Many students and staff witness her blinding speed and are shocked by it. Tae thinks to herself that it was very close and that she nearly drew attention to herself by being late on her first day of school. In her new class, the teacher introduces her as Tai Yamanaka, their new transfer student. The teacher informs the class that she has only just arrived and asks them to treat her well, thanking them. The class marvels at her looks, saying she is gorgeous and resembles an actress. One of Kotaro's pet soldiers keeps an eye on her as a student points out that she was the one running insanely fast earlier. Tae thinks to herself that school is an unknown world to her, and that the students are all novices. She believes this will be a piece of cake compared to her stealth missions. She declares with confidence that she will show them what Koga's top Kunoichi can do. The teacher then asks if anyone has any questions for her. Tai invites them to feel free to ask her anything. A student raises his hand and inquires if she has any hobbies or special skills. Tae, without hesitation, replies that her special skill is assassination, causing Kotaro's soldier Sasuke to thud against the door in disappointment. Tai reads the sign Sasuke displays for her, warning her against saying such things. As the class reacts with confusion to her mention of assassination, Tae realizes it slipped out and scrambles for a follow-up. She clarifies, somewhat awkwardly, that she means once you get used to assassination, it becomes automatic. Sasuke desperately waves a sign screaming "No" at her. Tae thinks to herself that she has only made things worse, and as the class becomes visibly nervous, she feels she has no choice. Deciding to rectify the situation, Tae starts to pull out her claws, contemplating destroying everyone there by her own means. Sasuke realizes the dire situation and panics. Tae, thinking of a shinobi staple, the sly beast, kneels on the floor and reintroduces herself as Yamanaka Tai, explaining she is still inexperienced, but hopes they will treat her well. The class starts to warm up to her, commenting on her beautiful posture and assuming she must have meant association instead of assassination. They even note that she seems like she would be at home serving tea. Back home, Tai excitedly tells Kotaro about her day at school, boasting that her quick thinking saved her. She wishes he could have seen it. Sasuke signals to Kotaro, highlighting how close she was to getting caught. At school, Tai is surrounded by peers eager to know more about her. One student remarks that she just transferred in and is already popular due to her beauty. A jealous girl complains that Tai is annoying, while other envious girls ask Kobachi what her plan is. Kobachi, seething with jealousy, plots how to put Tai in her place. As Tai walks into class and greets everyone with a cheerful good morning, she is met with silence. She notices some students looking distressed and wonders what happened. Normally, they would be hovering around her. Reaching her desk, she is shocked to find it covered in scribbles insulting her and telling her not to attend school. Some students, aware of Kobachi's influence, feel sorry for Tai but dare not oppose her. Tai, however, interprets the graffiti differently. Having spent her days on the battlefield immersed in bloodlust and malice, this petty enmity doesn't faze her. Her heart thumping with excitement, she views the scribbles as a bizarre form of message exchange and wonders who they might be from, thinking she needs to leave a reply. The students are taken aback by Tae's unfazed demeanor. Later, a bag rigged to injure Tae falls, kicking up a cloud of dust. The two boys who set it up are excited, thinking they've caught her. But as the dust settles, They see only a body replacement statue. Another student tries to trip her, but when Tae runs into his leg, her strength throws him out of his seat. In gym class, Tae checks her locker and finds her shoes missing. A student notices her barefoot and asks if she is okay. Tae simply responds with a cheerful "yup" and mentions that her weakness is not being able to hold herself back, as she zoomed past everyone barefoot during the race. A student remarks in amazement that her speed broke the prefectural record. The students who were ordered by Kobachi to harm Tae return with defeated expressions, admitting that they can't faze her and that she is something else. Kobachi, frustrated, thinks to herself that she'll have to do something more drastic to make her point clear to Tae. As Tae walks to the bathroom, she reflects on how she has pretty much gotten used to school life, but still doesn't have any friends. She wonders what she should do and even contemplates blackmailing someone. While in a bathroom stall, she suddenly gets a splash of water thrown over her head. The group of students who targeted her believe they have finally got her. Confident, Kobachi taunts Tae, telling her to stay off her high horse. With no response, Kobachi checks the stall, only to find it empty and unlocked, with only the toilet getting wet. Kobachi, puzzled, thinks she might have targeted the wrong stall when Tae suddenly appears behind her, asking if it's time for cleaning the bathrooms. Scared, Kobachi falls backward, questioning how Tae escaped. Tae, believing Kobachi was only there to clean, remarks on how huge the school bathrooms are and that it must be a pain to clean them. Waving goodbye with a smile, Tae advises them to use baking soda and vinegar for cleaning. Enraged, Kobachi grabs cleaning supplies and asks how much of a fool Tae intends to make out of her, throwing the supplies at the back of Tae's head. Tae swiftly swats the supplies away like paper with her claws, leaving Kobachi bewildered. Loud booms echo throughout the school as teachers rush in, questioning the noise. They find Kobachi unconscious on the floor and the bathroom wall torn apart. Escaping to the roof, Tae reflects on the mess she made and hears Kotaro scream her name. Back home, Tadano is upset with Tae and scolds her for causing trouble, asking why she demolished the whole building. Tae explains that her body moved on its own, adding that the area seemed to need repairs anyway, so they managed to save face. She offers snacks to Kotaro and Sasuke, promising to be more careful in the future. Munching on the food she made, Tae suspects that Kobachi is behind everything and wonders why. Tae gasps, trying to figure it out. At school, Kobachi walks around with whispers about her being found passed out in the girls' bathroom. Glaring at the students talking about her, she scares them off. Kobachi thinks to herself that the prior day was a disaster, and her memory is still fuzzy. She curses Tae for causing her trouble. Tae, hearing her name, walks up behind Kobachi, asking if she needs her. Startled, Kobachi screams Tae's name. Tae tells her that she finally understands. The message on her desk, the splash in the bathroom, concluding that Kobachi must have noticed her loneliness and tried to help, showing that she is a loving person. Confused, Kobachi asks what Tae is talking about. Ignoring her, Tae insists they will become the best of friends, leaving Kobachi shivering in fear. Tae has now forcefully made her first friend. Later, while watching a romance movie together, Tae is thrilled as the main couple confesses their love for each other. Kotaro, relieved, comments, "Finally," having been bored waiting for the confession. He remarks to Tae that she sure loves dramas. Tae responds that she didn't have television back in the village and finds them so entertaining. Kotaro notes that it's already 1 a.m. and very late. Tae, undeterred, says it's not late at all, because the late-night rebroadcasts are about to start, and the ones she had recorded too, added to the marathon of dramas. Kotaro reluctantly agrees, saying it's fine to stay up a little longer, which makes Tae smile brightly. He reflects on how getting emotional over these dramas is part of her adjustment to a normal life. The drama intensifies as the main lead passionately shouts his partner's name. They once again confess their love and start making out on screen, causing both Tae and Kotaro to blush in embarrassment at the scene unfolding. Kotaro thinks the couple is being excessively passionate, wondering if he should change the channel. Overwhelmed, Tae snatches the remote and quickly turns off the television. Kotaro, feeling relieved, comments that even Tae couldn't handle such an intense scene. He glances at Tae and is taken aback by her sudden action. Tae abruptly pushes him to the floor with surprising force. Pinned down, Kotaro is alarmed and demands to know what she's doing. Tae, with a sincere tone, apologizes, and then asks to join him in bed, explaining that everyday life had been so enjoyable that she hadn't given it much thought. Kotaro stammers, asking if she even understands what she's implying. Tae confidently replies that she does, reassuring him not to worry because she learned all about it while in the village. She commands him to let her serve him while fiercely ripping his clothes off. Kotaro, trembling with fear, begs her to stop stripping him. Desperately, he tells her to slow down, insisting that something so important can't be rushed, and she doesn't need to push herself. Tae reassures him with unwavering confidence, saying she's not pushing herself, and that if it's with him, it doesn't matter. A profound silence engulfs the room as both are rendered speechless. Kotaro's thoughts race, realizing that the moment he's been dodging has finally arrived. He acknowledges it's time for him to become a man, though he's not entirely opposed to it. However, considering Tai is the daughter of the Koga clan leader, he fears for his life if her father finds out. With trepidation, he wonders what to do and calls out to Tai. Tai shyly responds, "Yes?" He explains that while she may be an unbeatable shinobi, she's only 17 years old and still under adult protection. He tells her that next year she will be an adult, free to get married, and that he wants to treasure her until then. Tai, now teary-eyed, asks if he's been thinking that much about her, deeply moved by his kindness. Kotaro's heart races, relieved that she accepted his words. Sasuke, overhearing the conversation, thinks they should nurture their love until that day arrives, feeling guilty and with a turning stomach despite knowing it wasn't entirely a lie. As Kotaro checks the calendar on his phone, he feels a surge of happiness because today is a special day. He informs Tai that he'll be off and should be back by 8. Tai tells him to take care, waving goodbye with a smile as she calls his name, watching him leave the house. Once alone, Tai's expression turns serious. She quickly rushes to empty a box of papers, startling Sasuke. She rummages through Kotaro's cabinets, finding receipts from bars and mission data. Tai's thoughts spiral as she considers their 6 months living together, recognizing Kotaro's kindness and manliness as qualities of an ideal man. However, her woman's intuition screams that Kotaro is hiding something, prompting a dangerous look in her eyes. With the house now ransacked, Tai realizes she might have been wrong, unable to find anything incriminating. She notices something sprinting away and catches up to Sasuke, calling his name. Sasuke freezes in fear as Tai's claws emerge, reminding him she forgot to check his area. With a swift motion, she swipes Sasuke away and discovers a hidden box. She begins to inspect the box, her mind racing with possibilities of what she might uncover. Suspicion clouds her thoughts as she wonders if Kotaro is hiding another woman, gambling, or even drugs. As she opens the box, she is met with something unexpected. Meanwhile, Kotaro is at an anime games store, his excitement palpable as he discovers exactly what he was looking for: the special kiln-fired transforming Mecha Kawaii issue of Anime magazine. Overjoyed, he exclaims that only Animart carries these, complete with a special offer, making it impossible not to buy. The magazine, centered on a giant robot anime filled with love, friendship, and cooperation, has been his Bible, helping him navigate the harsh shinobi lifestyle. He declares his love for Sunday morning anime out loud, only to be startled by Tai appearing before him, questioning if he loves it more than her. Kotaro jumps in fear, his heart racing as Tai curiously examines the anime shop. He nervously asks why she is there. Tai reveals that she found his hidden anime goods at home, and that Sasuke had spilled everything about them. She reminds Kotaro that he said they were one heart and soul, and shouldn't keep secrets. Trembling, Kotaro apologizes, glancing back to see Tai's menacing expression. Kneeling before her, Kotaro is interrogated by Tai, who demands to know why he was hiding these from her. He confesses that he thought she would mock his interests. The shinobi world, he explains, is still isolated, akin to living a decade in the past. He recalls keeping it a secret even in shinobi school, where he was eventually found out by some Kunoichi classmates. After being discovered, he was labeled Otaru the Otaku Ninja, a nickname that haunted him through graduation, staining his youth. Tai contemplates his words and expresses her empathy, acknowledging how awful it must have been. She urges him not to underestimate her, insisting that he should have been open with her from the start. She assures him that if she had known, she would have thoroughly dealt with those classmates. She emphasizes that his worries, thoughts, and memories are important to her, and she wants to accept everything about him. She pleads with him to be true to himself when he's with her. Kotaro, touched, sweetly says her name as the surrounding customers gasp in awe. Some customers express jealousy, wishing they had a girl like Tai, while others cheer them on. The cashier interrupts the moment, reminding Kotaro that he still needs to pay. A few days later, Kotaro notices people discussing their situation at the anime store, realizing they need to be more careful next time. He reflects on how a weight has been lifted off his shoulders since Tai's acceptance and feels he can now relax. Tai's voice echoes through the house, excitedly calling his name and announcing that the Kawaii anime is starting, cheering for the beginning of the show. As the group convenes for their meeting, one member, nodding in affirmation, asks Kotaro if he wasn't followed. He signals Kotaro to commence their alliance's secret festivities. The Kawaii fan club's offline gathering kicks off with cheers of excitement. They are astonished when Kotaro reveals the limited edition Golden Shachi Hokorion, proudly admitting he sent in numerous postcards to win it. A member remarks that it's typical of Otaru Dono, prompting Kotaro to bristle and demand they stop using that nickname, reliving old traumas. They refuse, praising him as a model otaku ninja who thrived in the harsh ninja school and remains a living legend. Kotaro, unimpressed, retorts that being a legend doesn't bring him joy. To cheer him up, they promise to share some exclusive Kawaii-dan information. As they discuss the show, which they deem godlike, Kotaro notices numerous messages from Tai on his phone. Realizing it's late, he announces he must leave. His friends, surprised, remind him he used to stay all night. He explains he has plans. Suspicious, they accuse him of being preoccupied with his smartphone, guessing it's about a woman. They assert their blood oath against having lovers within their otaku alliance and threaten to apprehend him if he's broken this taboo, checking his phone. Grabbing him, they begin to pass judgment, but Kotaro escapes using a body replacement technique. They shout into the night, calling him a traitor for being with a woman. Kotaro, walking home, reflects on how close it was, feeling treated like an enemy, and resolves to keep his distance until the heat dies down. As he nears home, he wonders what he could have done differently and laments that with such comrades, the idea of family or a lover seems a pipe dream. He ponders the fleeting nature of these good times and their worth. Hearing noises behind him, he prepares for an attack, only to find Tae. She explains she was worried and came to find him. Kotaro, expecting an ambush, apologizes for being late. Tai, frustrated, demands they go on a date immediately, suggesting the night view from Kitayama. Kotaro reminds her he has work tomorrow, questioning the urgency. Tai insists they seize the moment, as good times won't last forever, and invites him to enjoy themselves fully. Kotaro, resigning to his fate, agrees, thinking he'll just have to be tired tomorrow. They soar into the sky together, a bird spotting Kotaro and recognizing him as Momoichi. A dangerous figure smoking says, "Bingo," upon learning this new information. Reflecting on their first encounter, Kotaro remembers thinking it might be the end. He confronts Tai, suspecting she's an IGA captain. Tai acknowledges his strategy but notes his friends have fled, suggesting he do the same. Kotaro, intimidated by the Koga's Viper, contemplates her reputation as a slaughter machine, noting a possible soft side. Tai dismisses uninteresting prey. Kotaro, drawing a dagger, declares himself a captain and their rear guard attacking swiftly. Tae counters effortlessly, choking him with her claws, and offers to end his suffering. Suddenly, Tae seizes Kotaro's arm, declaring triumphantly that she finally caught him. Ray, observing the situation, spots a bomb hidden in his clothes and realizes his intention to take her down with him. Kotaro, unfazed, responds with a grin, saying he doesn't mind dying if it's with a beautiful woman like her. Thrown forcefully into a tree, Kotaro questions his survival, and frantically screams for water to douse the fuse. As Tai dashes away, she ponders Kotaro's words about dying with her, interpreting them as a pledge of lifelong devotion, making her blush. She believes it was a confession of love and feels bewildered, yet determined to meet him again, her heart racing uncontrollably. Since that day, her eyes have been fixed solely on him. Clad in exercise clothes, Tai asks Kotaro if they should begin their training. Kotaro, feeling stiff, notes it's been a long time since they sparred intensely. Tai thanks him for indulging her whims, while Kotaro comments that it's good to get some exercise and reminisce about the past. Tai vividly recalls the spraying of blood and bursts of flame as their blades clashed, calling it a splendid youth. Kotaro retorts that perhaps it was splendid for her, but not for him. Spotting numerous weapons, Kotaro nervously picks one up, questioning the absence of practice weapons. Tai, calmly asserting their bond as lovers, insists they use real weapons, emphasizing the importance of holding nothing back, while unsheathing her claws. Kotaro, horrified, screams that's not what it means. Tai slams the floor, signaling the start of their training, terrifying Kotaro. Kotaro, desperate, calls for a timeout, but Tai declares she'll consider it only if he lands a hit on her, urging him to start dodging if he wants to live. Kotaro, thinking this might be his end, tries to dodge her attack and falls backward, making Tai laugh. Tai menacingly states that the score is 10-0 in her favor, showing her claws and pointing out that Kotaro has nowhere left to run. She taunts him, saying his legs seem tired, and promises to carry him home princess style once she's had her fill. Just as she's about to strike, her claws get stuck in a tree trunk. She looks up to find Kotaro's soldier monkeys, led by Sasuke, and calls for animal control. Kotaro seizes the moment, tackling her and leaving her speechless, warning her not to underestimate the leg power of a businessman. As he pins her down, their faces inches apart, Tae admits there was no way she was going to let him be princess carried, and begrudgingly concedes 1 point to him, disappointed he had to rely on his soldiers. Noticing her blush and rapid heartbeat, Kotaro asks what's wrong. Tai, waving a white flag, confesses that seeing his determined face up close made her heart race, and she surrenders. Kotaro, now princess carrying Tai, asks if he can put her down. Tai refuses, claiming she can't feel her legs from losing so badly. Kotaro later rewards his animal companions with year-end gifts. Arriving at the designated place, Kotaro feels a surge of nerves at being summoned by his senpai. Hearing his name called from behind, he turns, excited to see Hattori. Hattori apologizes for the sudden call-out, but Kotaro assures him it's no problem. Kotaro reflects on their past, recalling how they met at ninja school and how Hattori, now part of the Intelligence Bureau, is incredibly hard to read. Hattori grabs Kotaro's shirt, examining it curiously. Pleased to see him, Hattori remarks that it's been a long time and that Kotaro is still defying death. He points out that Kotaro is still involved with animals, teasing him that he'll never be popular. They raise their glasses and toast, conversing animatedly. Hattori marvels at how 4 years have flown by, while Kotaro reminisces that their last meeting was when Hattori fled from his senpai. Hattori recalls the chaos of those days, with the Corps mired in a brutal power struggle, where everyone was out to get each other. Kotaro mentions Hattori's role in managing misinformation campaigns, to which Hattori responds that watching everyone scurry around was quite a spectacle. Growing more serious, Hattori observes that Kotaro hasn't changed, and notes that he's still in the thick of things, mentioning that Kotaro's name has been cropping up frequently. Kotaro, puzzled, asks for clarification. Hattori slams a packet of papers in front of Kotaro, revealing his connections with the Koga Viper, Tei. Hattori accuses Kotaro of accessing classified info, high school transfers, and making various things disappear, all while inching closer to him. He slyly suggests that Kotaro's talent with animals now extends to snake charming, pointing a gun at Kotaro's head and making him jump back in fear. Hattori chastises Kotaro for leaving trails and ominously hints at the consequences. Kotaro's heart races as he contemplates the gravity of the situation. Suddenly, Hattori fires his gun into the air and shouts congratulations, declaring it's time to celebrate Kotaro's graduation from his girlfriendless life. He laughs, saying he never imagined Kotaro would find a girl without his help, and upon discovering this, he couldn't resist having some fun. Hattori eagerly demands every detail about how Kotaro and Tai fell in love, uncorking a celebratory champagne bottle. Hattori then points out Kotaro's involvement with Koga's Viper, and, while downing champagne, warns him of the danger, noting that such an affair could be seen as betraying IGA. Yet, he acknowledges that love knows no bounds and admires Kotaro for walking a thorny path for love, admitting he never realized Kotaro was so courageous. Kotaro recalls Hattori's fondness for love stories. Hattori assures Kotaro he'll keep his secret safe, leveraging his expertise in intelligence. Kotaro asks if Hattori is certain about not informing the village, to which Hattori replies with a rhetorical question about Kotaro's preference. Hattori philosophically warns Kotaro that being part of their world means important things might slip through his fingers, hoping it doesn't happen to Kotaro. Drunkenly, Hattori inquires about Kotaro's experience with Tai as his first girlfriend. Kotaro awkwardly explains they're just living together due to circumstances. Detecting shyness, Hattori presses if Kotaro has made a move yet. Learning he hasn't, Hattori calls him hopeless, while Kotaro protests, telling him to leave him alone. Meanwhile, Tei ascends a set of stairs carrying a basket. She excitedly mentions finding a splendid salmon, having had a hunch at the river. She recalls Kotaro promising to be home early to watch a drama with her. Bursting through the front door, she cheerfully announces her arrival with a "Tata, I'm home." Tai is startled to find Hattori clinging to Kotaro, exclaiming that the two must always be together in their love nest. Shocked, Tai drops her salmon, noticing how close they are. Kotaro tries to introduce Hattori, but Tai interrupts, misunderstanding the situation. Tearfully, she accuses Kotaro of bringing another boy home while she was away, despite his attempts to calm her down and explain. Tei, feeling inadequate, declares a battle is imminent, while Kotaro pleads with Hattori to tell her the truth. Hattori explains to Tai that they're co-workers, and she starts to feel ashamed, wondering how she could have made such a mistake. Chuckling, Hattori thanks her for the laugh while Kotaro, still shaken, tries to regain composure. Kotaro informs Tai that Hattori suddenly wanted to put them both on the spot, but Hattori counters, saying he just wanted to meet her. Holding up 2 bags, Hattori announces that tonight is about deepening friendships and that he's brought beer, to the obvious disappointment of Tai and Kotaro. Tai, still hoping to watch dramas with Kotaro, wants to protest, but Kotaro apologizes and asks her to make them some snacks. With a resigned look, Tai agrees. As she quickly prepares the snacks, Tei reflects on how she had hoped for quality time with Kotaro, only to now deal with the uninvited guest. When she brings the snacks out, she listens to Hattori teasing Kotaro about who sneaks into whose bed. Tai silently questions who this Hattori person is, finding him insensitive and lacking integrity, and wonders why someone like that is even there. However, seeing Kotaro smile and enjoy himself, she decides to let it go, for now. Suddenly, Hattori calls Kotaro an idiot, suggesting that Tai will only be a high school girl for so long, and urging Kotaro to seize the opportunity to perv on her. Kotaro, shocked, asks how Hattori can say such a thing with a straight face, while Hattori insists on seizing the opportunity. Tei, holding a knife, reconsiders letting the situation slide, and decides the intruder's presence must be erased. With the table laden with food, Hattori praises the delicious spread and jokes that Kotaro is a devil for getting to eat such meals every day. Hattori can't stop eating, which secretly frustrates Tai, as she made the food for Kotaro, not Hattori. When Hattori jokes for Kotaro to ditch the zero and get with the hero, Tai, smiling, tells him to keep such jokes to himself, and Kotaro points out that her claws are kicking in. Tai begins cleaning the dishes, fuming inside, barely tolerating the intruder's presence, and is on the verge of losing control. As she struggles to maintain composure, Hattori suddenly appears behind her, calling her name. She spins around, slashing at him with her claws, scratching his face and causing him to collapse in pain. Tai, feigning surprise, asks what he wants. Hattori, clutching his face, says he was lonely and asks where Kotaro is. Tai, growing angrier, learns that Hattori sent Kotaro around the corner to get more beer. Furious, she questions if Hattori turned Kotaro into an errand boy. Hattori casually explains that Kotaro has always done whatever he asks, calling it training, and noting that no one in the IGA clan is faster than Kotaro. Tai, seething, contemplates poisoning Hattori's food. Hattori continues bragging about dealing with a hacking incident at ninja school and salvaging some data, flattering himself. Tai, reluctantly interested, tells him to continue. Hattori mentions that he found Kotaro's school pictures implying Kotaro as a young boy, and asks if Tai wants to see them. Despite concerns about Kotaro's privacy, Tai admits she wants to see. Just then, the front door closes, as Kotaro announces his return. He notices the two of them together, and wonders when they became so close. Hattori shows several pictures of Kotaro, and Tai insists he's going through them too fast, needing to see them again to burn the images into her memory. While Kotaro drinks, he eventually passes out, prompting Tai to scold Hattori, questioning what kind of ninja gets drunk. Hattori deflects, saying Kotaro drank all the beer. Tai declares the party over and gives Hattori a glass of water, insisting he needs to stay hydrated as he'll be feeling it tomorrow. Hattori, slightly tipsy, acknowledges her kindness. Suddenly, the mood shifts as Hattori expresses a serious concern. He admits it might be strange to say given that he's only met her that day and is an IGA intelligence agent, but he's worried. He asks Tai if she realizes the value of the information about her, and warns that she has no guarantee he won't betray them at the last moment. He advises her not to let her guard down around people like him. Tai, feeling a mix of gratitude and determination, thanks him for the advice. She explains that the only person she trusts is Kotaro, but because Kotaro trusts him, she decided to put her full faith in Hattori as well. Hattori, inwardly contemplative, admits he wanted to see the Koga Viper in action and gauge if she was truly serious about Kotaro and worth risking his neck for. He confesses he was prepared for the worst, but realizes she's just a girl in love, marveling at how the power of love has defanged the snake. Tai, giving him a piercing look, warns him that since she has his scent now, if he ever betrays them, he'll have nowhere to hide. Hattori, frozen in fear, watches as Tai shifts back to her normal demeanor, instructing that Kotaro needs to sleep on the bed and Hattori is welcome to leave. Sweating, Hattori reconsiders, thinking that once a snake, always a snake. Tai, rummaging through her purse with a worried expression, attracts the attention of a classmate who asks how she could be out of money. Tai admits that her purse is a bit light, surprising another classmate who remarks that she has the aura of being born into wealth. Tai, embarrassed, confesses that she's lived a life free from money so far, reminiscing about her time in the Koga clan, trading herbs for bandages. The students comment that it's a problem only a rich girl could relate to, prompting Tai to ask for advice. One classmate suggests asking for an allowance, but Tai, thinking of Kotaro, finds the idea unsuitable. Another classmate proposes getting a job. Tai, puzzled, asks what a job is. They explain that people get paid to do tasks around a store, though it can be tedious. Tai believes she understands, comparing it to catching a beast in the mountains with a blade, and concludes she must jump into society to earn money herself. Her friends applaud as she resolves to become an apprentice. At a Japanese restaurant named Mikazuki, Tai's boss introduces her to the staff as Yamanaka, announcing that she will start working there today. Tai bows her head, expressing her hope to be of service. The boss suggests she take it easy on her first day. The staff, jealous, speculate that she was hired for her looks and wonder who is supposed to train her. They call for Tai's help in the kitchen, instructing her to start with washing dishes, and another girl tells Tai there's no time to stand around. Tai quickly shows them a stack of clean plates, astonishing her coworkers with her speed. She reads the recipe for an order and prepares the dish in seconds, making her coworkers nervous about how quick she is. The head chef questions Tai's actions, and she explains she simply cooked what was ordered. The head chef, tasting the food, declares it incredible and jokes about retiring. Tai serves the food to the customers, presenting them with the roast shokoji duck set and their special green tea parfait. The customers praise the food, one of them calling Tai a young miss. Suddenly, two other customers in the corner call out to Tay. She approaches, asking how she can assist, and one angrily points at his dish, claiming there's trash in the food. The other customer demands if this is the standard of service. Tay confidently replies that she's certain the food was clean when she delivered it, which only angers them further. They stand up with menacing looks, accusing Tay of calling them liars and threatening to smash up the place, kicking the table aside. Tay feels a surge of fear and contemplates calling for the owner. Suddenly, she addresses the troublemakers with a chillingly polite tone, apologizing and stating that trash does not befit the restaurant. Her terrifying look makes the customers uneasy. The boss, overhearing the commotion, questions the staff about troublesome customers, while a co-worker informs him that the new girl is handling it. The two troublemakers gasp, calling out to Yamanaka-san, bewildered by how they ended up tied up. They apologize profusely, admitting to the boss that they were the trash. Other customers express their gratitude to Tai, who thinks to herself that she should return to work. A few days later, Kotaro walks with a co-worker who mentions a restaurant that's gone viral for its circus-like atmosphere. Curious, they enter and see Tai expertly tossing dishes around, announcing that orders for tables 1 through 5 are ready. Many patrons record her, praising her skills as godlike. Back at home, Kotaro scolds Tai, asking when she got a job and what all the ninja stuff was about. Tai, feeling dejected, listens as Kotaro reminds her of their promise not to hide anything from each other. She kneels in front of him, apologizing and explaining that there was something she really wanted. Kotaro, puzzled, thinks she could have asked for money, even if not much. Tai explains that accepting money from him would defeat the purpose because the gift is for Kotaro. She wanted to earn it herself. Kotaro gasps, realizing he forgot his birthday is next week. He asks if that's why she kept it a secret, and Tai confirms, tearfully revealing that she wanted to buy him a full-scale model of Kawaridon. Kotaro scratches his head, appreciating her thoughtfulness, but asking her not to take on too much by herself again. Tai, holding back tears, pleads with Kotaro to let her work because she truly wants to give him something special. Kotaro considers where she could safely use her abilities without causing worry. Later, Tai is seen crafting artificial flowers at home. She announces that the quota is met, prompting Kotaro to realize he should stay home to support her. Tai proudly presents him with the left leg of the Kawaridon model, explaining she didn't earn enough for the whole thing. Kotaro, amused, asks if she's buying it in yearly installments. And this is where the manga leaves off. Future videos will be released when more chapters are available.